technology compared to Peter's.
Great. All right, Tim, thanks. Well, I'll pass you back in a little while. So what really are we sort of here today? So the introduction to cost-effective tech in higher education. I think the first thing, the challenges that you guys face, we talk about that. So clearly rising operational costs, inflation impact, budgetary impact, and ultimately that is a real strain on you and limiting your growth and indeed the solution you can deliver to your clients. And I see your clients, your students. As a business, I suppose as universities, it's really about your core focus, and it's of course about reducing operational costs while keeping pace with technology. We do a lot in technology in universities. And why? Because you guys seem to lead with it, which is great. And why? Because you've got a lot of younger, we'll talk about Gen Zs and Alphas and whatever they are, the generations coming through that embrace those technologies. And we'll talk a bit about that later. So solutions, what are you looking for? Scalable technology solutions. And we'll talk a bit about generative AI and where that's going and how scary that is. But that is going to be part of your life, my life, moving forward. And it's going to be much prevalent, much quicker than you believe it is. But it's all about embracing it and utilizing it and maximizing its strengths while supporting your colleagues on it. So the first thing, I'm going to introduce you to another colleague of mine. I'm going to introduce you to Lena and see what Lena has to say. Oh, no, that's not good. Lena didn't go there. Hold on. Right. So as you probably can see, Lena is generative AI. She is not real in any way whatsoever. She's a program. We build her colour of her eyes, we build her face, we put a shirt on her, and we script her. And we script her to say exactly what we want her to say. And as you can see now, they are getting really real. Really real. You can start almost interacting with you, and I'll talk a bit about how we're doing that at a later on in training and other elements of it. But generative AI will become part of your education process, and indeed in hospitality, it's going to be a core part of how you deliver the state-of-the-art and cost-effective solutions in your campus and university. Okay, so let's move on. I can, it's not moving on very well today. Okay, so building cost-effective, scalable tech solutions. So only 1 in 5 hospitality business leaders believe they are cutting edge in respect of their technology. So that's quite a low amount of people. And we've kind of come up with what are you looking for in your respect of your needs, and really coming up with key things we have found while we're engaging in what we call our site exploratory process in the university sector. So the first thing it's scalable systems in respect of how you can actually scale those quickly for obviously very peak times and queue busting times. Keep student and staff safe with allergen dietary control information real time. I'll talk a bit more about that later on. Integrated suite of hardware, software, and again, solutions that help your wastage. CSR is one of the most important things. Everything, food wastage, saving the planet is obviously on everybody's radar. And it's one of the biggest challenge we have to bring that into our technology environment. First class dining. Your students of today expect great service. They expect great food. And how do we deliver that together using technology and fantastic chefs and staff that you guys employ? Efficient processes, age restricted, face ordering. We'll talk a bit about that, but again, bringing technology again for efficiency. And again, bringing different technology across the campus. And that could be, a Starship delivering food to different parts of the campus. It could be a robotic dog delivering at night time into one of the halls on your dark kitchen. There could be a number of different things that technology will bring you in the future. At Lolly, we have a lot of these. We are building these constantly. So, we look at, order collect functionality, app-based products, nutrigens, allergens, calorific, but we even obviously deliver the amount of CO2 impact of a burger eating a certain location, what the CO2 impact of that is, and how we can build that up into weekly, daily, weekly, monthly. And in fact, one of our customers takes all that information of all of its staff and it offsets that each month. It says, I know what the carbon impact is. I'm going to offset that for my university, for my campus each month. Great initiative. Waste management, again, technology using waste management. If you're pre-ordering functionality or pre-ordering a lot of food, your waste is reduced hugely because you know what you're actually going to be delivering. Facial verification, facial age verification, restricted items, so student bars, etc. We have technology now that actually won't serve someone if they look under 25. The technology takes over and does that and helps the staff do that. And multiple sites. So again, we can see multiple things going on all the time in different locations. Key areas to optimize. So we've just really talked about some of those. So waste management, saving cost, sustainability goals. It's a key thing we've got to focus on all the time. Queue management. So again, you guys really struggle within all the university sector. You struggle with that because, of course, it's it's break times, it's lunch times. You've got a massive students. It's how do we generate or how do we use technology to help that throughput of students and indeed staff? And we use different types of technology for that. We talked about recipe management, but of course you might have something goes out of stock. So again, it's about putting data in real time. So you've got to have the allergens or calorific content of every product you sell. If a product goes out of stock, we need to be able to pull that data in real time back into a location so you can be efficient in the way you deliver that. And of course, great customer satisfaction. You are businesses in some respects. Some of you aren't, some of you are. You've got to generate great customer satisfaction, great student satisfaction. And what does that turn into? It turns into loyalty every time. Okay, so I'm going to pass you now to across to Tim, sorry, Tim, to talk about an example with Bristol. How do you want to do this, Tim? Do you want to talk through this?
Yeah, no problem. Thanks, Peter. I think so. We've just onboarded Lolly. The tender process started in spring this year. They impressed us with a number of the things that kind of Peter's mentioned, and the ability to scale up, to centralize a lot of what we do, to put a lot of efficiencies in a lot of place. We've got a big new project as a university, a new campus being built, opening 2026, which is due to house 5,000 new students, and they will be living in that area. They'll be using it. It's going to be kind of open to the public as well. So we're putting in a load of various different things, catering options in there that will be different styles of service and different styles of product. And their ability to kind of touch on that as well as kind of one of the reasons that we used or went for Lolly. It then all went very quickly, and September we were live with their system. Initially, we thought we just kind of get tills in our cafes and kind of retail outlets. But we've actually got to the point now where we're using some of their other products, like the app that was mentioned, using a number of self-serve kiosks, handheld tills, and all that sort of thing. And then we've got a load of other stuff in the pipework. So like a lot of universities and other things, we've got a kind of fairly big range of things that we offer. So our catered accommodation, where we have a couple of thousand. Or if you go back one slide, so sorry.
Sorry.
So yeah, where we have a couple of thousand students that we feed multiple meals every day. We've got a number of bars, cafes, food courts, as you can see. We do conference events, big, larger events, as well as some other things like delivery service of food and drink. So we've got a number of that. The biggest one that we focused on so far, we have put the kind of the app and the tills in all our outlets already. But the biggest area that's had the biggest transformation is our main busiest food court, where we feed a few thousand people kind of every lunchtime. We before to give a picture, we had multiple counters. They would a customer, a student, a staff member, whoever would come up, choose their counter, talk to the member of staff that would make the food up in front of them and take payment. That was a pretty chaotic experience. We had people jumping into various queues where they would, and then they'd have to jump into another queue to pay or to pick up a drink. And as you can imagine, with multiple hundred of people, kind of it was all a bit chaotic, and pretty sure we were losing a load of revenue as well in the meantime. So I think one of the key things was the guys from Lolly came in and like Peter said, did that kind of very detailed site exploration, and we completely flipped the way service runs in that food court on its head. So you want to jump forward one slide. So instead of now kind of customers queuing at the counter, we have implemented the app for ordering, as well as a bank of self-serve kiosks, whilst maintaining one or two open manned tills as well. So here they will see the full menu, the daily menu. It's all pre-programmed, so every day it changes based on what we set, all the variations aside, the different counters of food that we have. So we have kind of 6 different key food meals available and a menu based on those offerings. They can go in, there's pictures all uploaded. There's all the nutritional and allergen information that they can see. I think one of the key things is when someone goes to our salad counter, before they were choosing which salad, choosing the side or which kind of main thing they wanted, discussing if there's any allergens or if there's anything they didn't like. Then they were offered a choice of sauces, at which point they'd probably ask what 3 of those sauces were. So the whole process would probably take about a minute to serve one student or staff customer, whereas now they kind of have all those options displayed with whatever images or descriptions where necessary. They make the decision and then it all kind of ends up in a collect point, so their order goes to a collect screen. Obviously that's not particularly revolutionary. It's just the way that 6 kind of different counters can come together and they can collect their food from that one place. What we see now is one of my biggest concerns as well was the queues were so large that people just wouldn't bother getting in them. Now they can order their food immediately. Yes, there's still sometimes a little bit of a wait time. If there's 20 pizzas on at any one time, they're going to be waiting five minutes, sometimes even 10 at our very busiest times for the food to kind of come out. But generally now the staff just need to focus on knocking out the food. Each station has got a tablet where the orders come up and they just kind of build it and send it off to the collect point. So the wait times have gone down immensely in the kind of the wait time for the customer. The actual amount of staff we need to man a counter has gone down. The amount of people we need on tills has gone down. If one thing goes out of stock, it's very easy to just kind of take out of stock. We've got digital menus that have everything. So as soon as we take it out off the till, the menu is updated to say it's out of stock. The app is updated to say it's out of stock. The self-serve kiosks are all updated. So we kind of don't deal with any of these issues now. And then, as you can imagine, we can now handle it rather than a queue of people waiting to order where we're kind of taking one order every 20, 30 seconds. We can now take half a dozen every 10 seconds sort of thing, every 20 seconds. So the amount that we can take at any one point has gone up. It's just a case of working out how to keep up with that. Going live first week, it's always the busiest weeks in September, always the busiest. So a little bit of craziness as we kind of worked out how to do that. But now we've got that kind of really robust process in place. We're noticing that we can do, as you can imagine, a lot more with a lot less in those things. We've now got a lot of data on what's popular, where it works. So we're kind of analysing that to go and work forward and continue. Our grab and go section within that food court is getting a like a self checkout. So again, that's one less kind of person that needs to be available to pay for that. It is there are staff around in that area, so it's not completely unsupervised. But there is a degree of trust, but equally they are help yourself fridges and stuff anyway. So in terms of people being able to go to a fridge, help themselves and walk away, that hasn't actually changed at all. It's just now giving them a quick, easier way of paying for that pack of crisps or that can of Pepsi or whatever. And then the app has been a big success already for us. So you can order from the app in this location, but we've expanded it to across our whole retail. We've put our standard coffee loyalty on that. We've actually got 3,500 users in the first 6 weeks on our app, and then we're now adding in a load of different things that will allow us to kind of reach so many more people. So the marketing element, the offers, the promos, the loyalty points, we can add all of that through the app, which we're kind of exploring now. It also has a feedback function, so we pay currently £7,500 for a supposedly sophisticated feedback tool system, which we can save on that because we can get that through every single app user. So a lot more data for a lot less money, ultimately for us. And then we continue to work with Lolly to kind of develop some other ways of adding packages and subscriptions and things like that. The good thing as well, you can target different locations. We've got a cluster of cafes. For example, if one cafe gets a lot busier than another and they're not evenly kind of the revenue is not evenly distributed, even though you put the same amount of resource into the same two cafes, we can actually try and encourage people to the other cafe down the road, whether it's putting on an offer there or something like that, which we've tried 1 or 2 times and we're seeing that there's a small kind of pickup, so we're going to explore that as well. I hope that gives a little insight. I won't kind of talk too much, but I just think that the key thing for us is being able to just do a lot more with a lot less. We've still got all the staff in place. We can just do a lot more with it now, basically. And the constant development of our offering alongside Lolly has been something that's made me want to be happy to kind of share my experience with Lolly, basically. I won't read out the quote, but a quote from my colleague Amy, who heads up and was involved, obviously, in the tender process from the beginning. But back to you, Peter.
Tim, thanks, amazing. Thanks, mate. And it really does help when someone has a real-time, the journey that they've been on. It really helps. I mean, Ben's on here as well with Leeds. I mean, we've been through a very similar journey. A bit longer we've been with Ben, but again, it's a great experience to go through the journey with you guys and learn more. And as I said, as a technology company, it's about changing and learning and scaling with you guys as your needs change. So just moving on. So really just taking to some of the stuff that really we were talking through there, Tim was talking about, and what the focus is. So we talked about practical tech solutions, really. And one of the things we focus on is what we call the generational theory. And I know most of you know that, but of course you've actually got sometimes 5 generations, 4 normally, sometimes 5 generations of staff and students in your environment. And of course, technology has to be delivered to those in a different way, because they will all be very different. You know, the Gen Zs that are currently there, that make up the mass of your universities, interact digitally very different to indeed the millennials and indeed the alphas. For those that you know, alphas finished last week actually, and betas started to be born. So the alpha generation, which is really digitized. So in fact, if you think the Gen Zs um, are challenging to or serve, you wait till the alphas come in. They're going to be a real challenge. So yeah, it's something we look at a lot in Lolly. AI in respect of language translation. So all of our kiosks, our products we use a Microsoft AI language generation tool. So you can actually go to any one of our kiosks and have it in any language in the world within a quarter second. So indeed, a Chinese, a mid-Far Eastern student can be coming on in the summer siesta, and he can actually go up and order his burger in Japanese, in Chinese, whatever he wants, and we can just switch them on and off very simply. Payments, again, one of the challenges we found is to students that have summer students or even students that are coming across, foreign students, is settling their bank accounts. So indeed, they don't have cash for the first few weeks. So again, with LollyPay, we can put money into their account. They can pay for food and different elements on campus while they sort their banking solution out with their mum and dad. Or indeed, it's other payment rails. And we've talked about crypto, the Bitcoin's in the market at the moment. Again, we and Lolly, we've embraced the crypto revolution. We take Bitcoin, we use various different cryptocurrencies, and we take the risk away. So if someone wants to pay with their Zloty or their Bitcoin account, they can tap our kiosk, our till system, and the money will be in your bank account with quarter of a second. But that counts for all other different technologies, payment technologies that are coming up. And of course, we come on to apps. So app-based solutions are very much, again, it's the generation's tool to interact with you a lot. And again, if you give them loads of data and loads of information, they will increase their purchase and they will stay loyal to you. So it's an important part of your digital journey. The next slide, I just talk about big data. Now, I promise you have all heard the term big data. And actually, what does it mean? Truth be known, very little, because no one's really been able to harness it and do anything with it. But now actually that's changing because all the other technology that sits around it, actually we can start using that data simply and intuitively. I'll talk about chatbots in a minute, but so basically cloud-based systems give you real-time information. We can tell you site, location, best-selling product, and we can link those data to weather conditions, all different things. So it's giving you much more insight into footfall and what's going on. We can even tell you by looking on a camera, we don't, but we can even tell you, is your queue mainly made up of male, female, what's their age profiling? We have algorithms and product that can do that. So again, we can help predictive data can help us with looking at demands and adjusting staff inventory to support those busy times, non-busy times. Trends, of course, student preferences, dietary requirements. We can look at all that and how that moving over period, over time, specific time of universities. So again, all I'm saying, and again, long-term planning, that data you've not really had in the past. We're now working on what we call chatbot AI. So we can basically build in our system and you can say, Lolly, can you tell me what's my best-selling burger yesterday? Or Lolly, what was my best-selling location? And rather than you go and run a report, a chatbot will go out and find that information and bring it back. So it's suddenly changed how you interact with stuff, but it's given you much better and richer data. So we talk about cashless environment. You probably majority of you know a cashless environment, and again, payments cashless. It doesn't, it's a world you have to work within. Yes, you have to have cash. Cash is always going to be required to some extent, but majority of your world is about a cashless environment. And of course, its sustainability comes into that cloud-based cashless environment as well, because it's about receipting, it's about digital receipts, it's about less paper. All those different elements are very important in your digital journey, that you're reducing those and looking how you can be more efficient and more sustainable. Okay, so Lena, I've just brought Lena into that kiosk there because we're developing that something that's currently, so that's an interactive. So you can speak to Lena and say, Lena, and Lena can say, oh, hi, Peter, nice to see you again. Would you like to look at what you last ordered? Yeah, lovely. I'll order that again. We can get Lena to say, yeah, it's cold today. I've got some great recommendations. We can get Lena to upsell. Now, that's something that's going to be part of, again, the interactive, the sort of Gen Z alphas. That's what they're going to expect. In retail, we are starting to see the development of these where you go in and you have little or no staff in a, say, a pet shop environment. And you can walk up and say, hi, Lena, I want some pet food for my dog. And she will interact with you to actually get to the point and say, yeah, well, if you go to row 5, aisle 6, you will find the product there. So again, they are becoming, mundane tasks, and we talk about in a second. Basically, they will substitute and make those jobs easier for you and more efficient. So really tips against, actionable insights in respect of managing innovation on budgets. So first of all, cloud, you have to move to a cloud. Legacy servers tend to be old now. If you're on a cloud solution, it's much more flexible, it's much more scalable, and basically reduces cost of hardware. That's the world we are in at the moment. So again, it's finding a provider that will give you that scalable cloud solution. Investments. You don't need to buy a whole system. It's about scalability. It's about a company that will work with you to scale with your needs. I cannot tell you how many times I come into a tender process in the university sector where you guys say to me, I want 3 tills and I want, this is what my world was and this is what I'm budgeting now. And that's where I am. But actually, that's not where you're going. And so it's about an organization that can fit those pieces together and scale and develop with you. So if they come to you and if you've got something really specific and say, actually, I want the software to be able to identify everybody that's got a freckle on the left-hand side of their face, we can build those and deliver those sort of solutions. And that's important to find the right partner for you. And again, what I say there, automate repetitive tasks in admin. Staffing are an issue for you. They will be now, they will be in the future. Robotics, AI, all those different elements. The word is coexistence. Coexist with it. Embrace it. It's not taking away jobs. It is not taking away jobs. It is basically giving you the next level of technology and moving you forward. So my last slide, it's really, so tips on innovation on the budget still, really. Is that the same slide? No, it's not. Did I? Yeah, that's sorry, I didn't. It's about, okay, again, analytical tools within data cloud. Again, because data is all real time, you can utilize that and again, use that and improve resource allocation of resource. And again, collaborate with your partners. People like CUBO, we love CUBO. They invite us on. We tell you about the world we're in, and it's about using your different partners in the industry, seminars, all those different things to see where things are moving and where you're going. It's important. And finally, and probably we say the most important thing is to get feedback. Everything we do on our app, everything, it's about student feedback. It's about how they're feeling. What do they want? Because again, that feedback gives great customer satisfaction and therefore generates loyalty and reduces your costs. So I think, guys, that's it. I think we're 4 minutes over actually. But yeah, so have anybody got any questions for me or basically Tim?
Peter, can I ask a quick question in terms of kiosk versus app? My understanding was that kiosks were here sort of temporarily and everyone's going to move into app. Are you finding that's now reversed, or what proportion, Tim, perhaps a kiosk order versus app order?
It's a really interesting one, Gavin. For me, I would say that there's lots of challenges with apps. So if you go back to a year ago, everyone's going off app because they don't want loads of apps. So we're basically going web. It hasn't happened. I would say it's horses for courses. Kiosk is great in certain locations, app are great in certain locations. I think for me, certainly for the next 3 to 5 years, we will see both kiosk and app in different environments. So as I said, it's specific to your location really, and where we are on that.
And can you tell me a bit more about the subscription?
So the subscription, when you say subscription, so we can basically within our app, your mum can load amount of money onto your app, and that can be used for your breakfasts and for your dinners or lunch throughout the whole term. We do bursary on that. We have multiple wallets, so you can have a wallet that's from your mum and dad. You could have a wallet that you've put in with your credit card. You can have your bursary. You have multiple wallets on indeed your single app, so you can use it in different ways. And in fact, in certain locations, I think Ben in Leeds, we have a situation where you can actually have the staff have their app as well, which is the same app, but you have then also, you can put it against marketing or different elements of costings.
Super. Thanks very much.
Any other questions, guys, about technology, where we're going? Meta, I spend a lot of my time now going to conferences and looking at being adversed, which is really scary, about inside the meta, feeding people. Your students will be sitting doing, educating themselves inside the meta in the future. And how do we feed them, or how do we get food to their location when they're in that deep, dark meta? That's scary, but that will happen in the future. Robotics, again, is something you will see, robots wandering around the campus, delivering food into different locations in the future as well. Okay.
Can I just ask, how does your technology compare with competitors?
Well, obviously, no, and if you, James, when you get to know me, I'm a very honest person. What we do is we bring lots of different technology in together. So our competitors, I can tell you, people like, whether it's Access, MCO, or whatever, what they do is they go and integrate into a third party and bring that in. Now, for me, that doesn't really make it work, because although there's an API integration, it's not all encompassing. So it doesn't have the same heartbeat. So I would say there's nobody in Lolly that has the integrated digital journey that we have, and we are constantly really striving for that. I follow something called Blue Ocean Strategy. So if you're really bored on a flight one day, go and read it. It's quite interesting. But it talks about how we can keep competitive advantage in our sector. And that means we continually innovate. I'm coming to you guys in the university sector. What do you want all the time? What do you want? Because I need to prepare now for 2 and 5 years time. So I'm out to Vegas in January to look at the latest stack of robots and AI tech, of how I can bring that to the university sector in the next 5 years. And that's what makes us different. We're not a big multinational American business. We're owned by a couple of people that are passionate about technology.
Okay. And in terms of tills, or camera tills, where does that's a fully functioning option from yourselves?
Yeah, absolutely. When you say camera tills, so we have tills
as opposed to a person manning a till, as opposed to a person manning a till, just literally you put your plate under a that was the first picture I showed you on my presentation. So it's a really good, actually, and I will be honest with you, James, on that. So remember, technology, you cannot pick technology up and just put it into a location. You sometimes have to build the location for that technology. So I'll give you a great example of that. We have what we call our AI, what we call SnapServe, which is camera till, put a plate underneath it and check it out. Now, it really works really well in certain locations. In others, it doesn't work. Why? Because if, for instance, if it's in a self-served environment, so somebody comes up and puts their own bacon, their own baked beans, I guarantee they will put their bacon on there and they will cover it in beans and try and hide it. They will do that every time. So in that environment, it doesn't work. If it's a catered environment and they're servicing it and they're putting bacon, baked beans, egg on a separate location on the plate, it works every time. So it's about horses for courses. Yes, SnapServe works really well. It works amazingly well. CUBO really well, but it's certain locations it does, and certain locations it crashes and burns. It's not for everybody.
It's just, yeah, I mean, I was quite interested. We went and had a look at some corporate user who was using it, and it was, even though it was their own company,
yeah,
you could physically see people defrauding their own company by, you could spot them that they weren't paying for everything, and misdirecting the camera, so to speak. And I just thought, that I wonder how much revenue is lost in that manner.
Okay, it's a really interesting one, and we've got some stats on that. And it depends on, well, one, it depends on the generation, the location, but two, so if you're reducing a staff member, then you can accept a proportional amount of breakage or GP reduction, and you're still in profit because of the cost of reducing of that staff member in a location. So if you're running 2 or 3 of those tills and you see a GP loss of 5%, you're well ahead of the curve anyway because of the reduction of your staff cost. I would never recommend you have, you always got to have maybe 1 served kiosk and then 3 AI kiosks. But again, we work those things through with you because we're experienced and understand how that works in the real environment. But yeah, you can go to, we work with Sky a lot, and they're meant to pay for their toast. They never pay for their toast. We know that, and we know that's just the way people are. So we just have to manage that.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. Well, I think that's it then. Thank you, Sarah. Well, thank you. Sarah, back to you. You're on.
Thank you. Apologies. Thank you so much for leading on today's session there, Peter. It's really, really fascinating. Really interesting to see kind of how the sector progresses over the foreseeable future. Just a sort of quick shout just to let everybody know that Lolly will be at the CUBO Winter Conference next week. So if anybody has got kind of more questions, wants to talk further through products that Lolly have, there will be representation at the conference next week in Loughborough. But without further ado, I will let everybody get on with their days. But thank you again to Peter and to Tim from the University of Bristol as well. This session has been recorded and will be available on the Knowledge Hub on the CUBO website later on this afternoon as well. So if you wanted to share with your colleagues, feel free to do so as well.
Right.
Thanks very much, everybody.
Thank you.
Take care.
Thank you, everyone.
Bye-bye. Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Thank you.